Hey guys, what's up? It's MatchPoint here, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you the Ultimate Operator Guide for Cade in Rainbow Six Siege. So, if you do find this video useful, consider dropping a like on the video. And if there are any topics that you would like me to cover, make sure to comment them down below so I know you're interested. If you do have any questions about the video, feel free to ask me them when I am live on Twitch on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and we can have a conversation about it, or in the Discord, and there will be links down below in the description if you would like to pop by. If you are new around here, welcome, and I hope you enjoy the video, so let's get on into it. This Ultimate Operator Guide for Cade will covering everything you need to know about him. It will go from his loadout, his roles, his ability, and as well lots of other useful tips and tricks that can guide you along the way. If you do require any other operator guides other than Cade, there are many on the channel for different operators that might take your fancy. But first of all, we are going to be starting off with Cade's loadout. For Cade's primary weapons, he will offer you the AUG A3, which is going to be that submachine gun, or the TC SG12, which is that slug rifle shotgun. Now before we get into the pros and cons of each, I would just like to explain something in regards to the TC SG12, which is that slug shotgun for Cade. Now back in Void Edge, this shotgun did actually take a heavy nerf. It got an additional magazine added, which is a little bit of a buff. When you hear this part, it's definitely a nerf. The damage got reduced from 84 all the way down to 57. Now that is a hefty nerf, and Ubisoft have clearly tried to make players lean away from this TC SG12, which was a very powerful shotgun in Void Edge, and then all the way over to the AUG being a more viable option is what they're trying to do. Now this has definitely narrowed down the selection quite a bit, and it's not a clear winner here. Now in my eyes, the slug rifle shotgun for Cade is a weapon with high amounts of recoil, doesn't have too much ammo, and overall it's not going to be dealing the greatest amount of damage. Now if we take a look at it differently and look at it on the utility wise section, yes, it's very useful being able to create murder holes for your team, rotations, etc., as it is obviously a shotgun. That is where it is really going to come into play, as otherwise it's not doing too much for your team against other players. Now if we take a look at the AUG, the submachine gun, now this isn't going to have any soft destruction potential at all compared to the shotgun, but it does have very minimal recoil, decent amount of damage and a decent fire rate. Against other players and other enemies, the AUG is definitely a better pick here if you're purely basing it off the fact that you're just going to be eliminating players with this weapon. Then the AUG is going to be the better choice. But if we look at it from a different side, the utility side, the shotgun would be a better pick. Now you may be thinking, well MatchPoint, which one do I choose then? Well really it's going to come down to the situational preference. You need to be looking at what your team is bringing. Now it means you will be able to switch out the AUG and the shotgun for different rounds depending on what your team needs and is bringing, so they are both useful. For example, if your team is going to have operators who have very little potential for that soft destruction in order to create those rotation holes, if no one is really bringing a shotgun on your team, then I would definitely advise you to go ahead and take that TC SG12. And the reason being is because it's going to be great for that utility. You're going to be able to create those rotation holes, murder holes, etc., whatever you need for that soft destruction. But as well, you will be dealing a little bit of damage against players, and it is an average weapon against players. But if your team is all set on that soft destruction, they have operators such as Smoke, for example, who can very easily make those soft rotations for you, etc., murder holes, whatever you need for your side preparation, then I would definitely recommend bringing the AUG. The AUG is now a viable option purely because of the nerf that shotgun did take. It has minimal recoil, decent amount of damage, decent fire rate, overall a solid weapon. And remember, if we are looking at it from a player versus player standpoint, that AUG is going to come out on top. Now before Steel Wave got released, the patch notes did come out for it, the pre-designer patch notes, and Cade did have a change to his secondaries, which is what we are going to be moving on to now. Originally, Cade did only have access to the 4.4 mag semi-auto, which is that handgun with that scope on. I'm sure you can all remember it. And this was the only option that he did have for his secondaries. But now, when Steel Wave got introduced, he does also have the GIGN revolver, which got added to his loadout. Now for me personally, they are both solid options here. The handgun is a great weapon to have for your secondaries, as well as that revolver. Two solid choices for Cade here, and I'm going to definitely say it's down to your personal preference. Now bear in mind that the revolver does have a little bit of soft destruction potential that it can do in comparison to the other handgun, therefore you should be bearing this in mind when you are going to be choosing your secondary weapons. Now next up for Cade, we are going to be moving on to his gadgets, which are the barbed wire or the nitro cell. For the majority of the time, I would recommend you to bring that nitro cell. It is a very powerful weapon to have. You can pretty much use it to pick up a free kill, and as well you can use it to deny that plant from the attackers. Now the barbed wire is the other choice here, and now it's not going to be useful all the time, but there might be situations where you need it to block off those choke points, and the C4 might not be the best option for you. Very situational. Do remember that the C4 is going to win over the majority of the time. However, this barbed wire could come in handy. And just a little note, that is Electro Claw, which is Cade's ability, can also electrify this barbed wire, making it a little bit more deadly for the attackers. Now next up, we are going to be moving on to Cade's desired role. Now for the recommended role for Cade, I'm definitely going to say that he is an anchor. Now Cade is a 3 armor and 1 speed operator. While this factor doesn't determine an operator's role, it does definitely play a big part. Cade is able to be on site for that soft destruction when the team needs it, and in the prep phase with his shotgun, and then the submachine gun can be great, as well as the shotgun for holding down lines of sights with that ACOG on the shotgun, and overall it really does suit his playstyle. In addition to this, he can use that barbed wire for the sound cue when the attackers are going to be nearing the site, and as well the nitro cell can be great for tossing it over to stop any plants from the attackers. Overall, Cade is definitely going to be an anchor here for his recommended role, and I would advise you to play him in that role for the majority of the time. This doesn't mean you need to be sitting on site with him all the time. You can simply contest high contested areas, POIs on the map such as 90 corridors, where it really does change the game on who has control of them with Cade and anchor them down. Now next up, we are going to be moving on to Cade's ability. Cade's ability is the Artilla, or most commonly known as the Electro Claw, and what it does is it can electrify reinforced walls to stop any hard breaches from the attackers. As well, he can also electrify deployable shields and barbed wire on top of that. Now if you didn't already know, a while back Cade did receive a buff so he could reinforce and electrify 3 walls at one time. Now the radius for this is going to be a 0.75 meter radius, which is going to allow him to electrify multiple surfaces, and due to this it does mean that he is able to sometimes in certain areas and certain spots electrify a reinforced wall and as well a nearby hatch, which is a great use of it. Now obviously operators such as Thatcher and Kali can very easily counter the Cade Claw when it is already deployed, but a big difference here is it's not that easy for a Maverick to counter Cade compared to a Bandit. Bandit's charges always have to go on the ground. With Cade's Electro Claws, you can put them up high next to the reinforced wall. This means when a Maverick goes to deny the Bandit tricking by simply blowtorching and making 2 little holes where the Bandit charges are placed on the bottom of the reinforcement, he will be able to take them out. But with Cade, he won't be able to do it simply because the Cade Electro Claw is going to be placed at the top, and it's where I would recommend you to place it. Simply look for positions where it's hard for them to get. Now you must remember the Maverick can still open the entire reinforced wall by Maverick tricking the whole of the reinforced wall and opening it with 2 lines on the top and the bottom. But again, this is going to take a lot longer for the Maverick to do. Now you can get really creative with your placements for the Electro Claw, make it hard for the attackers to get to, and as well you can also position them so that it will hit reinforced walls and barbed wire. And as well you can also pull off a technique and a method called Cade tricking, which is where when they go ahead and place their charge down, their Habana pellets, whatever it is, on that reinforced wall, you go ahead and throw your Electro Claw and stop it from getting breached. Simply wait for him to start placing his charge down and that he is actually going to place it on that wall and not thermite trick you, then throw your Electro Claw down and you will have successfully Cade tricked. As well, Cade is able to reach multiple reinforced walls, so if a thermite goes for a different wall, it won't make a difference. In addition to this, you can do it from a distance as well, behind cover, if you do have someone watching out and listening for when that thermite is placing their charge. Now you don't need someone to listen, you could have a Valkyrie camera outside a garage wall for example. You can hop on the camera, see when they're placing it, and throw it as soon as it goes down. But you must remember, timing is crucial with this. If you do require any tips and tricks, whether it's ones for Steel Wave, operator guides for Ace and Malusi, they are all on the channel, and there will be an end screen at the end with those videos. And that is going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you have all enjoyed. If you did, or you found this video useful, then make sure to leave a like on the video, and subscribe for more tips and tricks like this. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.